Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 104 of the Alter Ego Podcast. I'm your host, Jack Austin. With me, as always, Mr. Ryan. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing swell, sir. How are you?
I'm doing so well. And my enchantress, my sweet chinchilla. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as promised, we have our very special guest from the world of movies, films, and flicks, Mr. Mark Hofmeyer. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, it's so good to be back.
It is so good.
Early episodes of the Alter Ego Podcast. And that soap is still melting to the core of the earth from inside my home, from Forge Supply.
That's right.
I still hear that soap bubbling
Oh
towards
my
the core of the
gosh.
earth.
I completely forgot about that. That's hilarious.
As you watch Sharks in Venice.
I bought this like really crazy flashlight and I just dropped it down into the hole. And it was, and I got some night vision goggles and I just stared at the floor, laying flat on my face, watching it drop for hours.
Yeah.
Like it's almost there.
We still don't have that daylight on the other side, do you?
Has to be
I don't quite understand gravity, but I hope it doesn't come back to me at some point.
Oh gosh.
Because that thing would just
loops around.
Now,
but that says great things about the forged soap. I mean, it's still pungent. You know, sometimes I just go over and smell it, but it's still melting to the core of the earth.
Now,
might melt through the core of the earth.
When you mentioned Forge Supply, do you mean the Forge Supply company that offers a curated line of craft soaps and beard care handmade in the USA, offering scents like coffee and cream, coconut, citrus, cedarwood, and many more? Check out the full line of craft soap bars, beard oil, and beard balm online at forgesupply.com. Free U.S. shipping on all orders over $35 and get additional 10% off if you use the promo code Alter Ego. That soap, the Forge soap, real soap.
No bullshit.
That one?
No.
Yeah, just don't buy the lava soap.
No lava soap.
Not this go around.
If I put that on my skin, there would be a hole. Like it would just. I got lucky there. It's too effective.
Yeah,
it's too
effective.
You're almost too clean.
Yeah, because there's nothing there anymore because it's burnt off.
But soon we'll all be clean.
Ooh.
So, Mark, it's been a while since you've been here with us, since we've been here to have some fun on the Alter Ego Podcast. I want you to remind everyone just a little bit about yourself and Movies, Films, and Flix. We talk about you constantly.
Yeah,
so it's good for them to put a voice back with, the content.
Yeah, well, my name's Mark Hofmeyer. Yeah, Movies, Films and Flix podcast, Deep Blue Sea the podcast. We're starting Con Air the podcast.
Oh, no way!
Yeah. So, we're doing 30
awesome.
chapters of that. So if you guys want to be a guest, we'll save you a spot.
That would be incredible. I'd be so honored to be on the Con Air podcast.
Me too.
Well, shoot me a few of your favorite. Yeah, guys, shoot me a few of your favorite scenes, and we'll get you a spot on there.
Well, first of all, anything with Garland Green was my favorite.
Oh yeah,
Garland Green and
the Marietta Mangler.
Yes, and the please Nara boom cigarette flick. That is one of the best Cage movies. Period. Yep. We actually commented on that with you on Movies, Films, and Flix.
He's a beast in that movie, and it's I can't wait to dive into it. And I actually had some luck with it. I came up with on Deep Blue Sea the podcast. We had a guest on who said that they tried to make a Con Air seating chart for the Empire movie magazine, but they said they couldn't do it. So I'm like, well, I'll do it. And I went on this odyssey of trying to figure out the seating chart for Con Air. And it was an absolute nightmare. The guy was right, but then I got in touch with some of the actors,
right,
and then they helped me finish the Con Air seating chart. So I know this movie back to front. We're going to try to get some of the actors on because they helped me out, and just excited for that.
Yeah. I do remember Pinball, where Pinball was sitting. I remember Juanillo 23.
He was in the cage.
Yeah, and Cyrus the Virus. Everybody that's seen Con Air loves Cyrus the Virus. You have to.
You know, in the uncut version, the uncut version, Steve Buscemi murders a guard.
Does he
He
really?
just chokes. He snaps the guard's neck.
Huh.
And then Cyrus is like, "You good now?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm better."
That's interesting. I almost, even though he's talked about like a national treasure, like the murderer of all murderers, I like that he has a very peaceful arc throughout the movie.
When he's sitting with that girl,
You're just sweating.
I was like, "Get out of here, Steve Buscemi. Get out of here." And I never remember the fire truck chase at the end. I could watch a movie 50 times, and every time I'm like, "There's a fire chase." Like, I don't even remember the fire truck chase.
He gets out, and Cyrus, Mad Dog, and one other unknown con get on the truck. Swamp Thing?
Yeah, the driver, the pilot.
Gosh. Oh, that's right. Who's played by a pretty famous actor.
MC Gainey.
Yes, who played... No, I'm thinking of a different actor. I'm thinking of the guy who played...
Ted Levine?
Yes.
Silence of the Lambs? Is that what you're thinking?
Who I'm thinking of, actually...
Sandra Bullock?
Don't you dare bring Sandra into this.
Always thinking of Sandra Bullock.
Is Lost City good? Have you guys seen Lost City? Is it worth watching?
I haven't seen it. Megan hasn't been gone for more than an hour or so.
Wow. You thinking I wouldn't watch it?
I just don't know.
Because of Sandra Bullock? That's gross.
Sandra and I don't need that tension.
He's got to clear the room.
Yeah.
Grab the napkins.
That's nasty.
Demolition Man is on. Time to leave.
Oh, boy.
I'm just like, I'm going to Home Goods.
I kept asking her to call me during intimate times. I'd be like, can you just call me Big Mike and tell me about protecting the blind side?
And if you guys ever do that Bridgerton episode, I'll join too.
Okay.
Need some backup on that.
Have you watched all of it?
I watched that with my wife. Yeah, of course.
Okay, see.
Yeah, it's going to be a no for me, dog.
I mean, it's going to have to be a Kim, Maria, Mark, and I.
That may have to be our first female-led show. I'd be so happy to have that.
You could just take a week off.
Yeah, right. Well, no, I'd be in here just to be your sound engineer.
Okay.
And be able to listen to it.
I don't know if I want you here for this.
I don't know if you guys would, because I would have to ask so many questions.
That's fine, actually. That would make a lot of sense for you to ask questions, and I will have to keep my thoughts PG.
Lord Bridgerton.
Yes.
In the accent. We all have to use accents.
Yes,
wow,
we all have to speak.
I'll eventually be Australian.
Yeah, she'll be all over the spectrum of accents.
I'll be in Swedish, German.
No.
I'll be very.
That's everybody's go-to German. That was pretty good.
I'll be very. My Fair Lady. I'll be very My Fair Lady eventually.
Oh, I'll have
You'll
to
be like a chimney sweep.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be doing Cockney accents. Oi.
Cockney accents.
Yes.
Oi, Bridgerton, what are you doing over there, mate?
Exactly.
Come on, then. Well, what's all this then, Mr. Bridgerton?
Movies.
We need to just do a remake with all Cockney accents of every movie.
Wow.
I'm here for it.
Right?
Let's do it. What are we waiting for?
Yeah, what movie? What's the first movie that comes to mind that could do
Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh.
Just Meryl Streep, Dustin Hoffman yelling at each other in Cockney.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine? I was actually the first movie that came to my mind was Forrest Gump.
Wow.
You can't sit here.
You can say
While you were sleeping, one of the creepiest movies ever made.
That movie is so weird.
Yeah, it is.
Ugh. I actually the first time I watched it, I was like, I really like that movie, and then afterwards, I was like,
while you
nope,
were sleeping.
No, that movie was weird.
Hi, who are you?
Yeah.
So
strange.
I've been stalking your brother.
Yeah.
So strange.
So, Mark.
Oh, she's so charming.
Yes. Oh, that's true. We wanted to have you here for episode 100, but that didn't really work out. We had, scheduling conflicts and things come up. We've wanted you here for a while, but, now you're back. And we talked about Doctor Strange and how excited we were for it for so many different reasons. And now it's out. And now it's here. So what we usually do, by the way, we're skipping all the news for this week. We said, you know what? We're going to dedicate all of our time to Mark and having this Doctor Strange episode. And we'll get back to news next week. We got plenty of stuff to talk about, but I just want to get that out of the way for those of you that are waiting around. We typically talk about the movie, what we liked, what we didn't like, before we get into spoiler territory. So we're going to have our first bit of conversation about it without spoilers of the movie, in terms of plot details. And then in the second half of the show, I think we need a lot of time to talk spoilers.
Yeah.
So I want your overall opinions, if you will, from the movie standpoint.
Oh, it's top 5 MCU for me. It's probably the most auteurish. I would say it's probably the most director-driven because, when you think of MCU, you think of it as being a brand, I guess, and tying everything together. And then this movie, I went into this thinking that this was going to be watered down Sam Raimi. I would have put money on this being, I was almost ready to be disappointed because I wanted something Raimi. I didn't want something that wasn't Raimi. Yeah. So, but watching it, when you see Pizza Poppa, when you see certain cameos, when you see some of the absurdity and humor and the way the actors get beat up and just the overall, the movie just propels itself. It's 2 hours and 9 minutes. I know a lot of people have issues with the rating. Should it be PG-13? Should it be R? People don't like the timelines, the multiverse. People think like different, it wrecks Wanda's storyline. But for me, it's just bonkers at moments, and it's violent, and it goes there.
I did like that. The aspect of violence that you do see violence in the MCU, but you never have seen it to that extent as you get in this movie.
It's nuts. Yeah. And listen, I understand why a lot of people aren't on the same wavelength for it, but I'm a big Sam Raimi fan. I've been a Sam Raimi fan ever since I was little. Evil Dead 2, Simple Plan. I know you guys are going to hate this, but Tobey Maguire is my favorite Spider-Man.
No, we actually had this conversation via text.
This guy lost all credibility.
I was listening to y'all's Spider-Man episode, and I was putting my daughter to bed. This was months ago, and I was like hearing things. I'm like, I got to send him a message.
And he did. I was standing in my driveway having a conversation with you, Ryan, and we were talking about Spider-Man, and all of a sudden, Mark Hofmeyer's name pops up on my phone to talk about Spider-Man.
Like, how dare you?
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, we're all different. There's billions of people on this planet. We all come from different places. We all have different viewpoints. And, you can't expect everyone to have the same viewpoints as yours. But for some reason, I was like, no.
This is not okay.
I was like, Andrew Garfield, because I had just watched all the movies. I had to pull data for a fandom video, so they were like super fresh on my memory. And I just was reminded about how much I love the Sam Raimi movies. So even though we're all different, I respect everyone's opinion, I respect y'all's opinion, I was like, I'm going to let you know in a nice way. I think I prefaced it with like a 2-paragraph thing, like, you guys are great, you guys are awesome, I respect you, but
however,
I love Sam Raimi. I love how I'm a big fan of Benedict Cumberbatch. This movie gave Rachel McAdams a little bit more to do. I think Elizabeth Olsen is just like wildly watchable. I think it goes there. It's a good flick, and and I looked up her name. I looked up the pronunciation of her name.
I got the IMDb pulled up.
Xochitl Gomez. I liked her. I thought she was cool.
Yes.
She just ran around a lot.
Yes. America Chavez in the movie.
Yeah. There's a lot of people just getting thrown around all over the place. Like, I think it breaks the record for people just getting tossed aside. BD Wong is cool. It's fun.
I love BD Wong. I thought he was great in this movie too. I love him. And this isn't a spoiler because it's from other movies now. Him as the Sorcerer Supreme, I think is just fantastic. But one thing I really wanted to get your unique perspective on is because when we walked out of this movie, I was talking about how much I loved it. And we have a mutual friend. A lot of people who listen to the show know him, Robert Lamb. And he said the same thing that you did. Like, oh, man, that was definitely a Sam Raimi movie. Now, when I pay attention to movies, I don't know about you guys, but I lock in on certain characters, certain actors. That's why when you talk about the Spider-Man, I lock in on Andrew Garfield. I think he does the best for me. I love his performance. I love his emotion. I love the way he plays the character. I almost tune out some of the direction. Obviously, I don't because I'm watching the movie and I'm enjoying it, but I don't pick up on directorial styles so much unless it's, say, Quentin Tarantino?
I was going to say, for me, it's like Tarantino, Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Like, those guys where things are blowing up, and Tarantino with his weird movies that... that's the only time I actually pay attention to a director as well.
Right. So from your perspective, for somebody who picks up on stuff like that, because obviously it's your passion, it's what you do. You tell me Sam Raimi movie. You named a couple, Evil Dead. We know he did the Spider-Man trilogy. What to you, walking into a Sam Raimi movie, makes it a Sam Raimi movie? Because you're right, this is a first real big departure from the style of movies that Marvel does. They kind of follow a formula, and this one really didn't.
No, absolutely. And also, if you guys are fans of Michael Bay as a director, I just rewatched all of his movies and counted every single explosion and wrote about it for Rotten Tomatoes.
Nice. I'm going to have to check that out.
Just type in Mark Hofmeyer Rotten Tomatoes and you'll see the article. There's thousands of them. And it pushed me to the limit. But when you're watching a Sam Raimi movie, like when you're thinking back to to avoid spoilers, when you're looking back at the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, he's just always getting bullied. He'll get knocked down. He'll get knocked over. He'll lose his money. He's always getting beaten up on. There's just this cheeky, and then remember in Spider-Man 2 when Doc Ock has a surgery scene, he murders all the surgeons. Just that ultra violent, stylistically shot film. Also in Evil Dead films, he would take a camera and they just put it on like PVC pipes and ran with it to give it this thing of a demon running. So he has a lot of Dutch angles, which is when, sorry if I'm being redundant, if you guys know this, but when you turn a camera to angle to make everything appear off. He's a big fan of really sort of gonzo, cheeky horror of people sort of losing their kind of minds and just getting beat up, I mean, you know what's interesting? He loves books too. Like Evil Dead movie, you have the Necronomicon. In this movie, there's books.
The Darkhold, yeah.
Yeah. Like, he did the Oz movies. There's witches in that, then you have witches here. Yeah. So he's just big on sort of gonzo horror when he blends comedy with horror. And he's just big on beating up the main characters. He's big on silliness. When we get in spoilers, I can talk about some of the other shots. Yeah. But I just think go to watch a Sam Raimi movie.
What's the pinnacle? If you have to say, okay, fans out there in the world, there's this Sam Raimi movie. This is the one you've got to see. Is it Evil Dead?
All right. So, oh man, that's really tough. I mean, I think Simple Plan is my favorite movie of his, but it might be the least Raimi. I mean, Billy Bob Thornton got nominated for an Oscar. I think it's one of the best thrillers out there, maybe in the last 30 years. But Evil Dead 2 are uber classics, right? But I'm going to go with Army of Darkness because he also made Darkman, which is brilliant. But I think it's going to be Army of Darkness because it's a movie that he finally got a budget. And instead of making a super kind of consumer-friendly movie, he made a wildly silly, cheesy,
Bruce Campbell,
dumb Bruce Campbell. I mean, it is silly. But this was his chance to hit the big leagues, and he made Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a maniac.
It's
he been movies, but I'm going to say Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness. Yeah, it's a cult classic though. Like you're right. That's not the movie that most people would go with when it comes to big budget films and all that. But I think Army of Darkness has become an icon.
He's kind of a punk, I think, and he has like a punk aesthetic to him. But I mean, I also think the scene of Spider-Man 2 when raindrops are falling on my head. He also is just big, loud, and dorky, too. Like, he makes a lot of dorky decisions, and I kind of love that about him.
And there are definitely dorky movies in Multiverse of Madness. And here's one thing that I love, guys. We talked about this last week, too, is that I've rewatched Loki, and I've started to rewatch some of these that are required reading, if you will, before you go up to Multiverse of Madness. And it's insane how much planning has gone into this MCU.
Like down to the second.
Like I when I rewatched Loki this time around, I was like, oh my god, they're just putting it out right there in front of you. Because obviously that He Who Remains, with I can't remember his name, and I love him. John, who's the actor from? He was in Lovecraft Stories or Lovecraft.
Oh yeah, in the last Black
Jonathan
Man,
Majors. Jonathan Majors. Yeah. Playing He Who Remains, and he kind of goes through stuff like that.
Did we share the timeline collection that guy that some fan came out and said that he watched the Loki series from start to finish and watched the WandaVision at the same time?
I don't know, but that's very...
It's a fan theory, but it's a pretty good one. So, like, to the second, if you watch the whole series, really just that episode that aligns with it, if you watch that episode... the same episode or the whole series, whatever. If you watch the whole series, the end. Okay, you start to the end, to the minute, like to the second, when they are in the tower in Loki
at
talking
the very end with He Who Remains.
Yeah, you tell this part because you're better at saying it.
Yeah, so it's not a fan theory. It actually is true. If you time them side by side and you're watching.
Well, yeah, but I mean the fan theory is to what actually happens because it's not like Feige came out and said that it was true.
And you're watching Loki. The moment when He Who Remains is saying, listen, guys, I know what's going to happen. That's why you can't hurt me. That's why you can't do anything to me, because I know what's coming. Mm-hmm. I've managed this timeline. I know everything. And he goes, we're getting to the end where I don't know what's going to happen. And the very moment that Scarlet Witch clicks it on and tells her the witch that has the runes controls the space.
And opens the book,
and fully transforms into... the Scarlet Witch, that's when He Who Remains goes, and I don't know what's going to happen anymore.
He just kind of shudders, and there's like...
drops a pen, and he goes,
there's like
we're here, guys.
There's like sounds of thunder or something in the background, like there's some sort of explosion sound in the background, and then you can see the timeline splitting, and that's like supposedly the moment that Wanda turned into Scarlet Witch and opened that book.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, what'd you say his name was?
He Who Remains.
He Who Remains was like literally...
Who's essentially Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah, he literally like shudders and he's like, never mind.
Yep. And
I don't know.
You hear this.
Something happened.
Whoa.
You're right. You do hear a big boom in the background and he goes, and there we are.
Yep. Now I have no idea. And it's supposedly...
I did not know that.
Yeah, supposedly to the second with those two series playing side by side, that's the exact same moment. It happens at the same exact time.
And that's what I was talking about, the level of detail.
Crazy ass planning.
Because with this movie... which is so wild and so fun, and there's so much stuff that they've thrown throughout this whole entire movie, which I can't really wait to get into spoilers either. But when you're watching that, you want to go, oh my God, I can't wait for the next 5 or 6 to come out so I can go back to Multiverse of Madness. This is one of those. There's a handful of Marvel movies out there. Any of the Ant-Mans, for sure. Guardians 1. The original Avengers. Those are movies to me that when I'm going through the playlist, I'm like, I gotta watch that one again. It's just that good. Yeah. And Multiverse of Madness, to me, instantly made that roster.
It kind of goes the other way too. It's like when we watch the next like 3 or 4 movies and then we're like, we got to circle back to Multiverse of Madness is not just because we feel like watching it because it was so good, but it's like, hold on a second, I have to watch that because now things are starting to fall into place and align. I feel like this movie in particular does kind of the opposite too. It's like now I'm like, now that I've seen, and we'll get into this a little bit more maybe with the spoiler side, but now that I've seen and heard some of the things that they say in regards to the multiverse and the different universes and everything, it makes you kind of wonder in moments throughout how everything we've seen so far, you're thinking to yourself, wow, okay, that's weird, like something strange, like the whole dreams thing, like that's one thing. Now you're kind of like, anytime somebody's like, I had a dream about XYZ, and I can't go into it because it's a spoiler, but
that is one of the things that they talk about early on is when you're dreaming, you're seeing another version of yourself.
Another version of yourself. Okay, so it's not as spoiler as I thought, right. But there's like moments in where I saw somebody post the other day on some fandom thing. When Tony Stark, as simple as when Tony Stark is in the park with Pepper Potts before everything gets wild and crazy in New York in Endgame, and he's talking to her about how he had a dream that she was pregnant with a baby girl, and of course you're thinking to yourself, is that a futuristic thought? Because then later in the movie, all that happens. Right. But then
is he seeing himself in another universe?
Maybe in another universe with having a little girl?
Huh? Yeah. Right.
Oh,
right. So it's like
it's
crazy to think about. It's like now, anytime somebody's like, "Oh, I was dreaming X, Y, and Z," or
and they dream about themselves,
and you're like, "Oh my God, it's another Loki," or whatever the hell. Right. Like, I mean, we've seen like 50 Lokis by now, but still.
Well,
I need to be I need to be Alligator Mark. I would love that.
Oh my gosh, I was thinking about that the other day. Like, what cool variants of myself would I like to see?
I want to be Throg.
Throg, you want to be
yeah, Throg, that's his name.
Predator Jack.
There we go.
Oh, dope.
I was just thinking about that. It's like, is there another multiverse where I get to be a Yautja, a predator, and I get to hunt stuff for a living? Speaking of which, and I'm really bummed maybe we can just spend a few minutes talking about it. The trailer for Prey came out today.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait for that movie. Also, I think the Yautjas are kind of cheaters because they can turn and...
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's like, hey, I'm going to go hunt Jack, but I'm going to turn invisible, and I'm going to I'm sound like Mitch Hedberg now. I'm going to turn invisible, and I'm going to have a laser cannon, and I'm going to rip his spine out when he's not paying attention.
You put me on the spot here, so now I got to get on my soapbox about this.
That's camouflage, man. Just like a hunter.
It's just like a hunter. It depends.
They cheat too. They just sit in trees, shoot things.
Tree blind, man.
Yeah, but it does turn into what predator you're dealing with, because you see those predators also that see that you don't have anything, so they drop all their weapons and say, "Okay." And it also to them,
fair. That's like Francis Ngannou coming up to me and be like, "All right, Mark, let's do it." I'm dead.
But so that therein lies the problem.
Take him to the ground.
If you're Mark and you're the final Mark that Francis Ngannou is after, he's already beat the brakes off of all of your friends, and you've proven to him that you're worthy gain. So at this point, I got faith in you, Mark. If Francis Ngannou's walking up to you, you know what? I'll spot you 5.
Take him to the ground.
I'm going to pull a Sanaa Latham, and I'm going to help him, and then I'm going to become an honorary Yautja.
There you go. Which is actually Predator lore. That does happen.
She's a beast in that movie.
And
I love it.
I think we see that happen again in Prey.
Mm-hmm.
I think
but you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. They do use camouflage like every other hunter. And he does go up to good. But, Danny Glover punks him out.
He does. That's my favorite Predator, by the way. You're always one that when I look at your lists, they differ from mine. To do the scene from Gladiator, none of my movies were on your list. But we do share the eclectic taste. For me, it's Predator 2. And everybody looks at me sideways when I say Predator 2 is my favorite Predator.
Gary Busey, Bill Paxton, Danny Glover.
That's right.
City Yautja.
The Jamaicans versus the Colombians. Who doesn't want that?
Predator 2 is probably my second favorite. I still love the original.
The original's good, and all the fanboys love to go out and say, well, every movie needs to be him in the jungle hunting the super elite, commando team. I'm like, why? That's boring. Let's mix it up.
Simple's not easy. If you could just recreate that.
Right.
And Predator 2, and also that there's a multiverse in that because we get introduced to xenomorphs.
Yep.
And it circles back to the multiverse.
Predator 2 is where they introduce the xenomorph skull on the ship.
Yep, in the very end.
Yeah.
Which is pretty dope.
So that's you had to get me on that soapbox. I knew you did. But in terms of guests on this show, you are returning. So I just want to transition a little bit. We talked about this before we press record. Most of our guests, we have them give us a top 5 list or top 10. Top 5 comic book characters. I'm not gonna bind you to heroes, but I'm gonna ask you, if you can, to give us a top 5 heroes on your list. This could be in comics, it could be in the movies. I imagine it'll be in the movies because it's you.
Yeah.
But if you want to go off to Hellboy or whatever, you are not
stuck to
DC
whatever.
and Marvel.
Right.
Hellboy was on my list.
Been on my list.
What's that?
Blank
My
Man
first
would have been
pick
on my
is-
list.
Blank Man?
Blank
Blank
Man.
That's amazing. Oh, Blunt Man.
Blank Man. No, you had it right. Damon Wayans. Mark Blank Man.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah.
I was just talking about those movies. I was just talking about Damon Wayans. Oh,
Do you know what
I miss him.
my
In the
favorite
90s,
first superhero movie was that I saw?
Rocketeer.
No, but you're close with Blank Man. I know you know this movie.
Mystery Guys?
No, not Mystery Man.
Mystery
Do you know?
Don't look at me. I don't
I'm going to
have a
look
damn
at you.
clue.
You're going to know this one. Meteor Man.
Meteor Man.
Oh, Meteor Man. Yeah, of course. 94?
Wasn't that
I believe.
such a good movie?
I know I've seen it.
93.
I was very young.
Yeah.
It was a
Meteor
blur
Man.
for me.
It was
Don
such
Cheadle?
a good movie. No, Don Cheadle, I think, is in it, but he is not the lead.
James Earl Jones, Eddie Griffin,
Yeah.
Bill Cosby.
Yeah. Well, Bill Cosby, he plays a homeless man who finds a piece of the meteor, and he just kind of like rubs his hand over it and gets powers from it, as opposed to Meteor Man, who gets hit with it and absorbs all the powers from it.
I do not remember this movie, but I definitely saw it.
I do not remember the lead's name, but I loved him in it. I thought he was great.
Robert Townsend.
How do I not remember? Okay, Robert Townsend. And if you haven't seen Meteor Man, go back and watch it. It's a great movie. It's about him just being a local defender for his neighborhood. He was Luke Cage before Luke Cage. So anyway, let's
friendly Meteor Man.
Yeah.
All right, I'm picking one that y'all are gonna love because I didn't want to be controversial right off the bat, so I'm gonna take Tom Hardy's Venom.
Oh,
wow! Start off controversial.
You started off controversial. You didn't mean to, but you did.
I know. I listen to the show. I definitely.
I'm a purist when it comes to him.
Time.
Yeah.
He's super sweaty in the first one. He's always just a manic wreck. He looks like he hasn't slept in 3 days.
That is true.
You can smell the Budweiser on his breath. He is so twitchy. And for me, it's just such a nice, listen, it's not Venom, but it's a nice departure from kind of safe. I love MCU. I own all the movies, whatever, but I like the departure from safe. It's weird. I don't think they're particularly made too well, but I think Tom Hardy is giving everything he has to it. And so for me, just watching a really sweaty guy in a movie make $800 million worldwide.
Yeah.
But like eating tater tots and chocolate.
First of all,
and like eating lobsters.
I like a lot of these things because they don't make or break the character at all. And you're right.
He's just sweaty.
Tom Hardy is great. I love the fact that he's dealing with coping with Venom, and their bodies are coming together, and they're having to learn to have that symbiotic relationship. My path diverges elsewhere. All these things that you're listing for why you like it, I don't want original Eddie Brock. Original Eddie Brock is track pants, a white like tank top, and a perm. Right? Yeah, big time. But it's really over the top. It's not the Eddie Brock I want. I love the Eddie Brock. It's just different parts. So anyway, who's number 2?
All right, so Dolph Lundgren's Punisher.
I have not seen that movie.
He rides around sewers with a motor, knows how to sword fight. He knows karate. It's grimy and it's low budget and it's not good. But I also like Tom Jane Punisher, but Tom Jane was in Deep Blue Sea, so he gets a pass for everything. Ray Stevenson, I like him a lot in Punisher Warzone. John Barenthal.
I actually think Punisher is a character that has not been played poorly by a lead so far. I don't think I've seen a Punisher where I'm like, I don't like that, because I love Thomas Jane. I like his range as an actor. I liked Ray, what's his last name? You just said it. Ray Stevenson. I like him in terms of brutality and the way I felt the Punisher would actually handle things, and
he's a big dude.
His trauma with accidentally killing somebody he didn't feel needed to be killed. I thought that was a great way to sprinkle that in Warzone, which is just a bag of gore. And of course, I love Barenthal.
That should be on the poster, a bag of gore. All right, so that's my number 2.
Okay, so we've got 2 guys in black here. We've got Venom and we've got Dolph Lundgren's Punisher.
All right, and then I'm gonna take Luis from Ant-Man. I don't even know if he is a comic book character, but
he
is 100% available in this draft.
We need a mini series of him just like.
No. We need a From Inception recap of the entire MCU with all the major characters doing the Luis thing. I mean, imagine that. Like, imagine him doing Nick Fury and Samuel L. Jackson be like, all right, no doubt, you have to go and check a sword. And then you have Chris Hemsworth, who I think would absolutely murder it.
He would so good.
He would do so well. Let's see.
Chris Pratt,
M'Baku in
Black
I can't
Panther.
remember his real name. The actor who's
Winston Duke.
Winston Duke would crush it because of his timing with the whole, we are vegetarians. There's so many good ones. I was going to say Wasp.
He one punch KOs everybody.
Yep.
He's a reformed criminal. He's part of him, T.I. and David Dastmalchian. Oh my God, Polka Dot Man.
Yeah.
Put the XCon Disney Plus series.
Baskin Robbins always finds
add
out.
Darcy, add Agent Jimmy Woo. Bring over
we love Jimmy Woo.
Oh, we love Jimmy Woo.
Yeah. He's the best. I like Ratcatcher from Suicide Squad. She's DC, but just bring her over. She's cool.
Whatever.
Is she on your list? Is she on your list?
Yeah, it's either her or King Shark. But I'm gonna take Ratcatcher.
I'm gonna take Ratcatcher 2 in that one too. Ratcatcher is Taika Waititi.
Yeah, Ratcatcher 2. I love Taika, but he just showed up and looked drunk and said some lines.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take Ratcatcher 2. I thought she found a lot of heart in that role. I really did, and I was totally on board with that character, and the way she got it. She jumped over Idris and she's great. She's gonna be a new Fast 10 movie.
I felt she pulled the heart out of everyone else. Right. I thought she did a great job of that, even if she, didn't have too much on the power side. Okay, so let's recap here. Tom Hardy's Venom. We've got Dolph Lundgren. We got Michael Peña's Luis. We've got Ratcatcher 2. Right? Are we adding it Ratcatcher 2 officially?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do it.
So who's our fifth?
That's a list.
He's not from a comic book movie, but it's a comic book movie. I'm gonna do David Dunn from Unbreakable.
Oh, wow.
Because that's my favorite superhero movie. I think Mr. Glass is my favorite villain ever. And it makes it's so simple and it made such sense to me. My bones are brittle. There's someone out there who is the opposite.
Yeah.
I
can get strength from them.
The attack from the orange jumpsuit man when he's in the house and he's being tied to a radiator in 2000. I was like, that's one of the craziest PG-13 visuals I've ever seen in my life. It was one of the scariest things I've ever seen. The bench press scene with Bruce Willis, just the sensitivity that was added to the movie, the kind of sense of discovery. So David Dunn, that's my fifth.
I mean, that's quite the crew. I don't know if I'm sending them out to have a mission together because we all know Luis is going to give away their spot quickly because they're going to be going for that stealth incursion and he's going to be trying to get their attention. And we're going to have Dolph Lundgren and Venom lowering themselves down into the sewer and then just hear ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da.
The rats down in the sewers, they would dominate the sewers.
They really would.
But David Dunn doesn't like water.
Oh, that's right. So that's a tough spot.
If Tom Hardy's Bane is down there and he chucks him into some water, he's in trouble.
Then he's not going to be able to do anything without his poncho as well. We can't forget the poncho. Hey, what we're going to do is we're going to take our first break of the day, and then we were going to get right back into it. And let's jump into overall opinions of the movie. Then we'll do our spoilers. Okay?
Let's do it.
I'm talking too much, so I'd love to hear y'all's opinion.
Absolutely. I can't wait. We're going to get into it here in a second. All right, and we're back. Thank you so much for sitting through the ads. As you might have heard, we've got Mr. Mark Hofmeyer from Movies, Films, and Flix still on here, and he actually just gave us, and if you wouldn't mind recapping for the audience, his Avengers loadout of characters. Now, if you thought his top 5 was eclectic, this one is all the major hitters. This is, I don't want to tell his story for him, but it's Iron Man,
itself.
it's Cap, it's Thor, it's all the big guys. So let's hear it.
Sure.
Pizza Poppa from Doctor Strange 2.
Okay, so there's one wild card.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the team's got to eat.
Yeah.
And he can take his cart everywhere. He's mobile. And he punched himself for 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
So, he must have some form of tough skeleton.
For sure.
To be able to unleash physical pain on yourself for that long.
He's got that durability.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a thick skull.
Yeah.
So we're going to go that. And Luis from Ant-Man, he's just a knockout machine.
We know
Darcy from Thor, Beast. Valkyrie, we need one really great fighter.
Yeah.
Korg, got to have him. Mantis, Beast.
Yeah.
Yelena.
No, Yelena, there's your really good fighter. Scarlet Scarab, there's your really good fighter.
Daredevil, my boy Daredevil.
There's your best fighter.
Then we got Alligator Loki.
Nice.
And then Agent Jimmy Woo.
Yes. Agent Jimmy Woo.
Jimmy Woo.
And I need Jimmy Woo to
magic.
be just a really, his close-up magic and his confusion about everything people say to him.
Yeah.
Imagine that movie, y'all.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, I can imagine the hell out of it.
It would be pretty incredible.
I just want to know how long it would take for Scarlet Scarab, Yelena, and Daredevil to just walk away?
Especially with
how
Kat
long does
Denning.
it take them to get enough pizza Poppa?
Let's see. Well, that's good though, because you always have the teammates who want to walk away.
Right.
Guardians, like that's part of every good team up movie where they're like, oh, we're going to fight. Like, oh, I'm Captain America and I'm Iron Man. Like, let's get away from each other.
The nerve.
Let's not call each other when the world's ending.
Right.
I'm not look at his cell phone.
You remember my dad? I'm not calling you.
And then, but then they're good people though. Daredevil, he would stay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, wait, Daredevil loves pizza, right? I mean, he's a big pizza guy. He's from New York, so he would really like those. Let's see. And Scarlet Scarab, she's all about adventuring. I think she and Darcy would be like best friends.
I gotta say, I think every
would walk away?
No, I think Yelena would walk
yo.
away. Yeah.
Yelena would like be besties with Korg. They'd be on the couch eating mac and cheese.
No, they're good. They could vibe over mac and cheese. But I think actually the happiest of the bunch, the person that you're not bringing up that would like really be everyone's best friend, is Mantis. I think Mantis loves everybody at the party. She wants to know so much about Pizza Poppa. She wants to listen to Luis for hours. I think Mantis has the most fun of everybody on your roster.
You know what? The movie I want is the scene from Avengers Ultron, where they're just getting drunk. So just put them all in a room.
Yeah.
They don't need to go on a mission. Just kind of have them chilling, and then a robot attacks, and then they beat it up.
Yeah.
And then they go back to hanging out and doing karaoke.
Sure.
Alligator Loki is just eating the thing's flesh. And
Alligator Loki still needs to have the kiddie pool to sit in.
Yeah.
If you're asking me.
That's the movie I want. Just chatting. People chatting.
Just having just good dialogue. The only issue is they might run out of food, but they've got Uber Eats.
They got Pizza Poppa.
Pizza Poppa, who doesn't just generate food.
He caters. you think he's not ready for this party? You think he just shows up and goes,
caters.
What's the deal here, guys? Like, I only brought this certain amount of pizza. Like, he Pizza Poppa knows.
That's right. Okay. So we've talked about this. I think we should give our overall opinions. I thought that it was a great movie in terms of MCU. I think it's one of the best standalones. I think it puts Doctor Strange up there as one of the top franchises, period. I mean, obviously Marvel's setting him up to do big things in the future, but in terms of uniqueness and compelling story, compelling villains, which I think makes a movie more than a compelling hero, I think Doctor Strange is really up there. I thought it was great. I want to hear Megan's opinion, and then I got to go to Ryan, who typically hates everything.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go to Megan, because I know her opinion.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. I know that I kind of mentioned this in a previous episode when we weren't spoilering at all.
Yeah.
But it's very aesthetically pleasing. I think that it's very colorful and eye-catching and different. It's basically like that excitement that you get out of seeing Ant-Man going into the quantum realm and it being like this weird-ass world times a million. Like you see it just kind of happening everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's really cool in that regard. As far as the rating goes, I think that I know this wasn't something you asked, but as far as that goes, I think that it's pretty spot on, because I know we talked about the PG-13 and the rated R, and there really not being anything in between. I don't think it falls to be as high as rated R, although I do think that there is some scary shit in this, which again really kind of separates it from stuff that we've seen in the past.
A lot of stuff.
I mean, even the ghouls and goblins and crazy shit that Thanos had working for him weren't half as scary as some of the shit that was in this movie. So I loved it. I thought that it definitely opened my eyes to a lot of stuff that was and is, what has happened and is to come. It definitely makes me see things a little bit differently, and I'm much more open-minded when I'm watching things. Jack said he was rewatching Loki and watching that, even just bits and pieces that I was catching as he was watching it. I constantly was thinking about the multiverse. Like now it's like I have a very, very, very open mind on watching this stuff. And I mean, obviously we all knew the multiverse was a thing, but seeing that shit on screen and seeing how it really kind of unfolds and how it was brought to life. Now you're just kind of like, oh my gosh. And I'm not necessarily a conspiracy theory nut, but I definitely think that there are a lot more things out there than us. So in a realistic pattern, I'm thinking,
Oh boy.
oh my God, is there a multiverse for us too? Is there 55 Megans out there doing crazy shit? I don't know. Like
The multiverse is capped at
Haven't you
55.
ever seen the one? Of course,
the
there is.
multiverses of Megans.
It's capped at 55.
Ooh.
Whatever.
I
don't
would
know.
watch the multiverse of Megan
I
just
don't
to
know.
see you guys all meet and argue.
so that you can pick the one that knows how to cook and
Wow.
Now you got to kill them all. to
Mark,
gain
you
that
haven't
power.
lived until you and the wife and the whole family need to come down and have some famous macaroni and hot dogs.
yeah, I'm real good
heck
at
yeah.
cooking macaroni and hot dogs from the box. Don't get like.
But I'll say
don't
this
ex-
in
don't-
terms of
don't-
the rating because I didn't say this is the first movie we looked at. and said,
there's no artisanal.
No. Straight craft. Straight craft.
Yeah. No, that's great.
I
love
mean,
that.
I get the ballpark hot dogs though.
Listen, we all got to eat out of the pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With-
Oh,
yeah.
one pot,
With
one
hot
spoon.
sauce. But what I was going to say is this is the first movie that we looked at each other and said, our children are not going to be able to watch this.
Yeah, this might be one. We will definitely be waiting on this
And
one
they
at
are
home.
11 and 12.
Yeah.
Really?
They will, but there's
With fair warning.
one of them. Right, one of them is just a little bit skittish in that regard, and not that there's a whole lot of jump scares, but there's a whole lot of
Intense stuff.
intense physical,
Yeah.
very well done, realistic shit
death,
that he's
yeah.
obviously that neither one of them has obviously ever seen on screen and has had no reason ever finding anywhere. So it's just very different and something that they're not expecting. So I think it would probably scare the pants off of them unless we're at home watching it here, which I still see them running out of the room, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
So let's go. Let's go to Ryan. Would you need a couple commas in the check to need to watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness again?
No.
Oh,
But
And I don't hate
sense,
Hey.
I don't hate this movie. No,
Ooh.
honestly, I just thought for me it was a little different.
that's for Sam Raimi. Good for you, Sam.
Well done.
I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of thinking of a little more like the Doctor Strange from where Spider-Man ended, kind of that multiverse, something going that way, but with the whole America Chavez and it being completely different. I still liked it, so it's a great movie. I mean, me personally, I'll watch it again.
So you expected it to kind of pick up from
A little bit
all
more of the
these people.
Spider-Man
Gotcha.
kind of realm
Gotcha.
versus throwing in
You
America
expected
Chavez.
more of it of the
Yeah.
universes coming to Doctor
yeah,
Strange
like it breaking
as
versus,
opposed to them going to
going and
other
hopping,
universes. Got it.
So
Okay.
other
What are
than
some
that,
since you hate so many since apparently you hate so many comic book movies, what are someone you love?
oh, I love Black Panther. I love Avengers.
Blade.
Not Endgame. Not Endgame,
No,
not
Endgame.
Infinity
No.
War.
Infinity War. I
He
do
loved
Oh,
love.
you
Infinity
do like
War. He
Infinity
didn't
War,
like
not
Endgame.
Endgame. That's right.
Don't
But he
Yeah,
likes
Infinity War, not Endgame. yeah.
Blade.
There's a whole episode about that, the whole debate episode.
Hulk. He
Blade
likes
is
Hulk.
not coming. Blade's
Blade's not.
Blade's
co-
not
I'll
coming.
tell you one that he loved. Peacemaker.
Peacemaker. Love that. That
Yeah,
was
but
great.
that wasn't. Oh yeah, he said superhero, not Marvel.
Yeah,
Blade needs more respect.
he does.
98, that comes out, hits big, and then you get X-Men a couple years later, you get Spider-Man. Like Blade needs more respect.
Blade needs that grandfather status, that original gangster status, because without Blade, we don't have any of this.
Mhm.
No, I
And that blood rave
fucking-
scene.
I love the Trinity, the Blade
Crazy.
Trinity.
Crazy
I love
good.
them all.
Me too. I actually love all three of them. They're really
Me
good.
too. I watch them every now and again, just when I get a whim.
Yep. And Wesley Snipes is perfect as that.
The
So
biggest problem with Trinity is that it brought in Ryan Reynolds,
That's
and he's
probably
a
the best
motor
part.
mouth.
Mm.
But like, it's weird, like Blade, who's so like when I watched all three back to back,
yeah,
and Blade is just very monotone, and then you get Ryan Reynolds just running his mouth, and they just didn't gel too well together.
and apparently they
But,
didn't gel well on set either. That is a rumor. I don't know that for fact, but
That's the movie. I lost 50 pounds because of that movie. I used to weigh 250, and I watched Blade Trinity, and I learned Ryan Reynolds' diet, and I dropped 50 pounds watching that movie.
wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
So have to write that down.
Is it just carrot juice and a lot of sit-ups?
No, like a lot of chicken,
Yeah.
but
It's okay. We like.
yeah,
chicken.
I remember I was like 250. I was playing basketball, hurt my knee. I'm like, I need to lose some weight. And then I saw Blade Trinity. I saw his diet, like a Men's Fitness or something. I'm like, I'm going to follow that. And I lost 50 pounds. So Blade
That's
Trinity
insane.
has a special place in my heart.
Well, it has a special place in my heart because Triple
And
H.
Parker Posey,
Yeah.
yo, that Pomeranian. She's an all-timer villain right there.
She's actually
Parker
got
Posey,
a
Blade
lot
Trinity.
of movies with her and Pomeranians. She was in. Yes, she does. She was in the movie with the Superman movie with Brendan Smalls. Weren't there two of them? Remember that?
Oh man! Oh wow! So wait,
You think that's on purpose?
ooh, that's a data article right there.
That could be. How many movies has Parker Posey had a toy dog? Which is the class, not actually a fake toy dog. This is the class of dog is considered a toy. His motor's spinning. I'm looking at him on camera, and he's like, "How many are there?"
This makes for great podcasting.
So this is your warning. This is where we jump off and say we're going into full-on spoiler territory. So, my wonderful alter ego fans, if you do not want to get into spoiler territory, you have not seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, this is where you turn off our show and go find Movies, Films, and Flix and go through that catalog and just get boundless energy and information regarding movies, and then go see Deep Blue Sea, the podcast, and get ready for Con Air, the podcast.
Cool.
Okay.
And 2 years later, you'll be ready to go.
Yeah. All right. So here we are. Let's give it the old, I'm going to play this little song. By the end of the song, it's time to start talking spoilers. Good to see you guys. The one thing that we want to talk about as soon as this song is over, the one thing that you wanted to talk about this whole time
is when Superman showed up and killed everybody.
Pizza Poppa.
Wow.
Pizza Poppa made it for you.
Mine was a conversation between Doctor Strange and
It's over.
Wanda.
Doctor Strange and Wanda?
Yeah.
Mine is what's yours?
What?
Ryan. What's your moment you want to talk about?
One moment to start. Your one moment you want to talk about first in regards to the movie.
I don't really have one.
Wow. You said Pizza Poppa. You said a conversation between Dr.
I think there's a lot of articles out there saying that the movie ruined Wanda. And so my friend Zanandi, who writes for Crack, she's like, no, this movie did not wreck Wanda's arc. But I just want to see what y'all think about that because, I interrupted there, but I want to see what y'all think about that because I don't think it wrecked her arc at all.
I'll circle back to her for sure. What do I want to talk about? I want to talk about Mr. Fantastic.
Forge Supply Company and their volcano soap.
You want to talk about Mr. Fantastic?
I want to talk about Mr. Fantastic and John Krasinski.
We're going to do that first, or are we going to talk about Wanda?
I was going to say my moment came with Illuminati, so
yeah,
I'm about
all right,
it.
that's the one thing I want to talk about. So let's get back to Wanda's arc in this movie. So let's talk about Wanda for a second from her inception. Right, she was brought in by Hydra and experimented on as a child after Tony Stark, his missile hit their house. She struggles to gel with anybody or find anywhere to go. She finds the team. She finds the Avengers and eventually is there. And the first time she teams up as a superhero, she loses her brother. And in that rage, she's kind of like, I don't know what to do. She then meets Vision. She starts to like Vision, and then all she's trying to do is do good, and she's showing up to try to save the world, and she screws up, and this whole Sokovia Accords, this whole problem is all on Wanda. All these people that she's met, that she's tried to befriend and betray the feelings that she's had her whole life towards these kind of people, she's now being put in her room, as she puts it in the movie. And she's even struggling with this person that she started to love in Vision. And she really has nowhere to go. She doesn't have a brother. She doesn't have a family. She doesn't have anybody. She has everything around her dictating her life. And throughout this arc, she and Vision start to love each other. And then this world-ending event is happening, and the entire galaxy is coming after the one thing Wanda has finally been able to settle down and love, and that's the Vision. They want to rip his brain straight out of his head. And not only that, they eventually say, Wanda, you've got to be the one to do it. So Wanda's got to then kill her husband, who she loves in her mind. She has to kill him and then sit there broken, only to have Thanos go, I appreciate that, but it's not going to work. Bring him back, kill him in front of her again. And then after that, all the Avengers just kind of go back to their lives. Go back to doing what they're doing while she's blipped for 5 years. She comes back. Everything's hunky-dory Dunkin' Donuts. Everyone is happy to be back together. Oh, except you, Wanda. You're back after 5 years. Now you don't have any friends. Now your husband is dead, and he's a property of the government. So then she shows up. She has an existential crisis, steals his body, creates her own perfect world while being manipulated by another witch inside of her own perfect world, wherein she creates children, her brother, and other things that she loves, only to then have to destroy it again. And in the moment she finds the Darkhold from Agatha Harkness, she then looks and says, okay, somewhere in here is a little bit of happiness for Wanda. Somewhere in here is happiness for me, who has done everything for everybody else and never gotten anything out of it herself. I'm going to try to get something out of here. And she sees the infinite multiverse and says, oh, there's this chick right here. She can give it to me. She is infinite. Just one sacrifice, game over. I can get what I want. Everyone can be happy.
So just to...
so you saying that third person?
Say that again.
You said, do you say that Wanda speaks in third person?
Oh, she does.
That's what I got from all of that.
Oh, she does. Wanda is basically, well, she's basically the Rock in this movie.
Yeah, let's go.
Wanda says she wants America Chavez. Wanda's gonna get America Chavez.
So that actually plays exactly into the point that I wanted to discuss. So I'm going to just take the helm here for a second.
Please do.
So basically you literally went through her arc in much more detail. What I was going to say was basically, and this is me as a mother, especially as one who is creating life currently, I 1,000% understand her and how this arc has led her to what she is now. So yeah, she was a good guy for a while. She did good. She fell in love with Vision, blah, 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 blah. All her life, she has lost of people that she loves. So now she's to the point to where she has created this world, created these children, created this happiness and this love, even including Vision in this life, and she loses it all, like you said. And so now she's basically back at square one, where she keeps constantly losing and losing and losing. And the only way to get it back is basically to do some evil shit.
And that's through this book that we find out the Darkhold, it just naturally corrupts anything that touches it. So it doesn't matter if you're good or not.
Yeah, people, yeah.
So this argument that everybody's saying that it ruined Wanda's arc, I don't see how, because first of all, I'm pretty sure we all know that Wanda is not dead. What happened at the end of that movie, I think it's safe to assume she's probably not actually dead.
Well, especially with the introduction of variants.
Right.
And the fact that if you know comics really, really well, you know that Wanda is one of a few characters that is just that powerful, that a little bit of rubble isn't really going to be much of a thing to Wanda.
No, she literally could fucking snap her fingers and all of it just, plows right off of her.
Yeah.
But the conversation that I'm talking about is when he goes to meet her and she's picking flowers off of these trees, doesn't even realize that they're dead, whatever. And he's talking to her about America and the purpose and all this other stuff. And he's talking about her children. And I don't know if I think this happened all at the same time, but he says to her, your children aren't real. You created them using magic. And her response was, that's what every mother does. And first of all, as somebody who's currently pregnant, I absolutely love that. So I know that I'm like, this is like a personal favorite moment of mine. I was like, that is 1,000% the truth, because this shit is magic.
Mark can attest to that. He's seen it.
Yeah.
He's got a little magic at home.
Yeah. I mean, It's pretty magical. But then like that conversation continues and he says, or then he's telling her, once he now realizes she's actually living in this freaking chaotic hot mess and realizes what she's actually after. And he basically just led her straight to America. Chavez, not America the country, obviously, because she's already there. But she says to him that it won't be Wanda that comes for her. It'll be Scarlet Witch. And it's like just that whole thing, just whether you agree or relate to the fact that Wanda is now kind of somewhat evil psycho or not, it's not necessarily like, yeah, I guess it's selfish in the big picture, but it's not necessarily selfish. It's that she has gone through so much torment and loss and like death and just awful shit when it comes to the people that she loves and the people that have died all around her. And she's wanting to do this for her children, that in her mind, whether they were created through magic, quotes, or not, it's for them. She's wanting them to have a good life. And so and you see that coming out of her later on when Wanda and Wanda meet and she's crying and, the Wanda in the variant life that the children actually exist with her. And she says, just know that they'll be loved. And Scarlet Witch accepts that. And I'm just like, I just loved all of it.
What is that?
I'm not sure. We got some beeping happening.
Yeah, sorry. I had a little beeping going on.
But anyway, that's my favorite. And I didn't think so much about all of this until I did. Those are the quotes that I literally wrote down during the movie. So obviously they were important to me. But I didn't think so much about it until our friend Amber who pointed out that this movie came out the weekend of Mother's Day. And I was like, that is awesome. Because this is definitely a Mother's Day movie. Whether it should be or not, this is definitely a Mother's Day movie. And I was like, that's incredibly cool. So, as the woman in the room, I wanted to bring some light to that.
Actually, I think it was actually showing her hand. When you say she's picking flowers and doesn't know they're dead, she knew full well what was going on.
Yeah,
she knew her whole area had been corrupted by the dark hold.
But
Steven didn't. Right, which is even more impressive.
Because
that
she's
the
the
wizard
one that,
shows up and isn't like, you know, she goes, oh, that smells, and she thought he was going to call her out and say, smells fake, and he was like, no, I was going to say sweet, and she's like, oh my God, I got him.
Yeah.
In that moment, she's like, I got him. He doesn't know it's not real.
And I mean, technically got all of us because we're still kind of expecting the Wanda that we saw before. So I personally think that this does nothing but like define her even more, and I think it's a huge turning point for her. So if she ends up coming back, whether as a big character or not, or just doesn't,
I think the 838 or 818, whichever one they show was the other universe, you could have another Wanda show up.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, especially because she is familiar with the situation and what's happening, obviously, because then she jumps and she tries to stop it from happening. So it's like, I can totally see that too. But it's like, I feel like this is a major turning point for our Wanda that we've been watching, our Scarlet Witch, who we saw turn into this just distraught, awful person, really. I think it's just a turning point of her seeing all the wrong that she's done and all the torment that she's been through and how it's not worth it to basically ruin everything else because, like she said, just know that they'll be loved. And like, that's all that she wanted. That's all that was important to her. Yeah. She just wanted to be the one to love them. Well, and in that moment, she realized she couldn't.
Let's take our second break for the day, and then we're going to jump right back into that because we're getting to that point. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back to continue with our thoughts on Doctor Strange. And we're back. Okay, so that was the big Mother's Day spiel. Yeah. I loved it.
So is Wanda more powerful than Captain Marvel?
Yes. Easily.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Really?
No
so
doubt.
in the comics,
that's what I was going to say. That's the problem I kind of have with the MCU is they dumbed down so many people's powers.
They dumbed down a lot of powers, for sure.
Because as we know, the Scarlet Witch could have been like, no more Thanos. Boom. And Thanos is gone.
So there's an arc in the comics.
Oh, really? She could have just gone him?
Yeah. There's an arc in the comics where Wanda makes mutants the most powerful thing in the universe because they always are so sought after in terms of like ridicule and stuff like that. There's always the run-in with humans, and her turning everyone into mutants does not go well. There's a lot of contention from there. Her kids are in that story as well. But at the end of the arc, she decides that was a bad idea, and she just says, "No more mutants." And in her saying those three words, all mutants on the planet disappear. That's how powerful she is. So it's exactly right. When Ryan says she could have gone, "No more Thanos," sure, there's stuff Thanos could have done about it, but she is that powerful.
Yeah.
I guess she was turning him into like a cube in Endgame, and then he cheated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she was getting ready to kill him, and if he doesn't sacrifice literally almost all of his troops to just stop her, that's game over. And then people go, well, Infinity War really wasn't much of or Endgame wasn't much of a fight. Wanda showed up.
Yeah.
Why didn't Thor just take out that ship?
What?
Doesn't he have all the lightning?
He does. He does have the lightning. I think he was more focusing.
He went for the chest.
It's pretty cool with
for
Marvel.
the head. That was his problem.
You're right though, because in the very previous movie, he is literally with Stormbreaker just flying through ships.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think it was
but it's
more.
Also it's an Infinity Stone too, so it takes a great deal of power to destroy an Infinity Stone.
Sure.
So I don't think
he's talking about the ship. The ship itself, his big spaceship.
Oh, okay. I thought he was talking about. He said the head.
I just thought about that. Sorry, y'all.
That would have been pretty dope to see him. Maybe it was just because he was fat.
I think he was more focused on proving himself amongst his friends as a hero.
Yeah.
You know, like him being on the ground with Cap and Iron Man.
I had to make an excuse for him. He's my boy.
Too many IPAs, right?
Yeah,
but you know, it's
exactly.
It's Georgia IPA.
There's always to be a plot hole or something else to be talked about, especially with this. A lot of fans are going out there going, well, there's infinite multiverses. Why didn't she just find one where her kids were orphans? It's like, well, because maybe it just doesn't work out like that. You know what I mean?
Like, she's got to be able to go through.
How long does it check one? Yeah, how long does it take to check one? Like a minute, right?
What size is that yellow book? Right.
And then how do you know which ones you've checked already? It's like, I've been through 7,000. Like, give me a break.
So
this is the same pizza Poppa 4 times in a row.
There's a point in the movie, and this is where the dream thing comes back in, because Doctor Strange asks her, how do you know that they even exist? And she said, because I dream about them every night. So she knew that timeline existed. So if she knew, so she's been dreaming about this particular timeline, knowing that her children existed in this timeline. So she's not dreaming about a timeline where her kids are orphaned. She's dreaming about this one specifically, knowing they exist. Right. These are the two that she's dreaming about. Those are the two that she wants.
She's fixated on it. So I think that has, because I was just thinking to myself, how the hell did she know that there was a timeline where the world she created was because it cleared that up. She explained it, that she's been dreaming about them. She's only been dreaming about that instance.
Right.
Would she become a paint blob if she knew her two kids were there?
I mean, probably.
I gotta say, probably.
I would too.
I mean, when I explained the rest of her story, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, and I was like, golly, her story is dark. It's darker than anybody else's in the MCU.
Yeah.
I mean, name anybody. It's darker than anybody in the MCU.
Yeah. I mean, Punisher's up there, but not. I don't know if I would say it's as bad.
MCU yet either, so.
Right. No, but I mean, well, yeah, I guess that's true.
I'm just saying, hers is even worse than Punisher's.
Yeah.
You're right though. They did just like lock her in a room.
Yeah.
And right, you know, hey, I'm going to take this wildly powerful person who's not trained yet out on missions.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna make sure that Wanda's the one who takes the fall for this, and that's why I really sided with
Rogers.
Yeah, that's why I sided with Rogers. He's like, I'm not signing this shit. She was trying to do the right thing. She was with me. We were trying to teach her and do everything, and you're gonna all of a sudden say that she can't do anything without your sanction. Get out of here.
If you're like the exploding man and you can't control yourself, I'm not taking you on a sensitive thing.
Well, that's not what happened. So Crossbones was blowing himself up, and she captured that. And so she tried to get rid of that explosion while she was containing it, and she tried to throw it up. And when she let go of her power, unfortunately, it was right next to a building. So that's what ended up happening.
I was just calling you the exploding man because I think that sounds like a funny power.
I think that is a thing.
Probably.
Exploding.
So like we talked about with Loki talks about variants, and they talk about different versions of people and the sacred timeline, and why do we need to protect the sacred timeline? Why is it important for the TVA to exist to make sure that everything happens and none of these cataclysmic branches happen? You know, and then they talk about, well, why are you here? Oh, because I killed Thor. Why are you here? Because I went somewhere I wasn't supposed to go. And you have all these variants that are doing wrong things to protect the timeline. And then we find out why we're protecting the timeline here in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because when those things start to happen and those branches start to grow and things start to get more and more catastrophic, that's when you get the convergences, and that's when two universes start to show up together to the point where they come in and eventually explode against one another. And that is where we finally go, okay, this is why time travel was bad. This is why the TVA was a thing. This is why He Who Remains was He Who Remained. And so now we see the importance of that. And now we're going to see what happens, because you get a glimpse of that when Doctor Strange goes to one of the many multiverses to see Sinister Strange. And he's like, yeah, that's kind of what's happening here. Worlds are literally that was her favorite moment.
So freaking dope. I'm sorry.
Just so good.
Coolest
I've never
fight.
seen that before.
Coolest fight.
It was our favorite, for sure. Our favorite fight. In terms of the magic when they're throwing the music notes at each other. A part
of me was like kind of like peeked over at you, babe, Jack, you, since the audience can't see me looking at you. But I was thinking to myself, he's going to think this is kind of like cheeky and dumb. And I think this is so fucking cool. And later we talk about it. He's like, no, I loved it. And I was like, okay, cool. So I'm not lame for loving this music. It was so awesome.
My favorite fight was definitely the Illuminati.
Oh, of course. Yeah. That's what I assumed. Like,
so that's what
like
I was getting into.
Stuff.
That's what I was getting into.
Sharon, I could do this all day. I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like that was my favorite point of the movie.
When Sharon Carter said, "I can do this all day,"
I can do this all day,
and then you find out 3 minutes later, I'm not getting paid time and a half for this.
She can't, but I like to love that show to Rogers.
She did with her own shield.
With her own shield, yep.
So this is what I loved. The Illuminati show up. The Illuminati are not. If you take a look at the Illuminati compared to, say, the Avengers, the Illuminati are made up of extraordinarily smart individuals, people who are willing to make big decisions mentally, right? Reed Richards, for one, the smartest man. You've got Black Bolt, who's a master strategist. Luis, who's no doubt. Welcome back to Strange. This Illuminati was going to tell you that.
So good.
Yeah.
No, and then we've got in the comics you have Iron Man, Black Panther, Namor, Professor X. So Professor X is in this. And this group is meant to look at things. And Supreme Strange was a member of that universe's Illuminati. And instead of having a group of heroes who could fight, you have people who are going to make those preemptive decisions and kind of the what's the movie I'm thinking of? Minority Report.
Minority Report, yeah.
Right? Like, we're going to get rid of you before you're a problem. And in the comics, the Illuminati actually are like, listen. So every member of the Illuminati is from a different universe.
Mm-hmm.
So when there's a problem in a universe, they all have to come together and make a decision and say, your universe needs to be destroyed. Otherwise, these things are going to happen. And so this group is very different from the Avengers. Oh, and Carl Mordo, who I love that we find out Baron Mordo's first name is Carl. Carl. And so Strange is sitting there like, guys, you realize what's knocking at your door. And they're like, yeah, there's actually bigger problems than that. Like Wanda, they thought, Wanda we can handle. We don't want our universe just like a symbol crash into another universe and everybody dies. So if Wanda wants to kill you or get what she wants, give it to her.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of wanted him to be able to be like, I told you guys so.
He did.
I told you so.
She beast modes that entire crew.
Which is such a crew to beast mode. Captain Marvel, Captain America, or Captain Carter. Professor X gets soloed in his own mind. In Professor X's mind, his domain, his playground, he gets absolutely destroyed.
Same thing with Black Bolt.
That was
awful.
Because he just...
It was like he was about to say something, and then she shut his mouth, and then whatever he said just exploded his brain.
She didn't even shut his mouth. She took his mouth from him.
Whatever. I was like, what the hell just happened?
And people keep saying,
did y'all watch Inhumans? Did you guys watch that show Inhumans?
I did.
They actually brought him back. That's kind of crazy.
And we talked about that a little bit, and I said it from the beginning. I said I bet you
she was right.
Black Bolt is going to be the same guy, because I liked him. I mean, obviously there wasn't a whole lot to not like. He didn't say anything, so it's not like he said anything that made anybody hate him. But I liked him, and I didn't really mind that series at all. It wasn't obviously up there with the rest of them, but I was like, he's coming back. But I also think that he's probably never coming back again, because
I saw the trailer. I saw the trailer for Inhumans.
You didn't watch the show?
Somebody who I refused.
Somebody
who knew how powerful Black Bolt was and how big of a character he was. To see him coming to TV, that's the comic book elitist in me. That's something I'm trying to change. But I saw him, and in the preview, he's not wearing the iconic garb, which okay. And then he gets bumped by a taxi and goes, ugh, and knocks over a taxi cab. I was like, okay, no, they don't understand.
They would have
Black
destroyed
Bolt.
a city block or two with
Right,
that
if he
noise.
goes, that knocks out.
I mean, and they show that
so much stuff.
They at least kept that sort of idea for him because they show that in Doctor Strange where he kills off
Supreme Strange,
and him just saying I'm sorry would have taken out that whole planet. Like it would definitely would have taken out more than just him, and it was so like tunnel focused. And I don't think Black Bolt can do that. Can he?
What?
Can he tunnel focus his power?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what the little pitchfork on his head's for.
Oh, got you. That makes sense.
But the one thing that I've heard a lot of gripes about is why
he never does karaoke.
Yeah,
no,
man, what a bummer.
So yeah, like
He's
how about
real fun
that?
at
The one
parties.
song he does is Tequila, and the whole time he's just dancing in a circle, and every universe is like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, and then he finally gets someone. He goes Tequila,
And the bar explodes.
So that's a movie. Was Mr. Fantastic. They didn't like that he went out there and kind of gave away the strategy to killing everybody. And I was like, listen, that's Reed Richards.
But
Reed
who-
Richards is so compassionate that even when he was there, he's like, listen, Wanda, we don't want to fight. We don't want to do this. Everything is cool. All right.
But
so let's not fight.
What did
Everything's
that
going to be great.
solidify for Fantastic Four? It solidified that John Krasinski is going to be Reed Richards in another universe, and that's the Fantastic Four we're going to get, and I am 1,000% here for it. I don't care if he died 55 different ways. I don't know what I am. 55 is just the number that stuck in my head today. Either way, I don't care how many times he dies and which ways he dies. We know that it's going to be John Krasinski that's playing
Yeah, we
Reed
do.
Richards.
And
I need to play the lottery or something.
I'm
Just
going to
straight
pitch
fives.
one. We haven't heard from Mark in a while,
Yes.
but it's rumored that
this is
Krasinski might be the director of the Fantastic Four
Yes,
movie.
we have heard that. Any insight?
I mean, he's made. I haven't heard anything yet. He's made the Quiet Place movies. I know the producers from Moon Knight just jumped over to Fantastic Four.
That's correct.
John Watts dropped out, which I'm glad. I mean, I like the Spider-Man movies, but they're more. I think they were carried more about Tom Holland and like Zendaya, the characters. I don't know. Like he's a good manager, but yeah, I mean, I think he could do it. I mean, he has a good track record. Maybe bring in Emily Blunt. So they can hang out together on
That's
set.
the other rumor. And I said this too. Listen, Wanda absolutely destroys Mr. Fantastic. It's not a fight. It's just not. But if Susan Storm was there, I think he gets at least 30 more seconds of screen time. Which in that fight is a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
What about if Luis is there?
Luis
How
is
much more
there.
screen- He doesn't get Twizzlered.
I bet you
think
she
if-
leaves him alone.
I think if Luis is there, he
no
doesn't
threat.
get a chance to finish his sentence.
No, he's no threat. She wouldn't kill him.
Oh, come on, don't kill
They'd be
me.
hanging out.
I can babysit.
It's like, hey, what if I can find your truth serum?
Babysit.
Yeah. No. What if I can find your truth serum and then we go to Universe 616? Can you teach me how to jump into universes? That'd be awesome.
Oh, back it up.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, man.
There it is. As soon as Wanda walks in and crushes the Ultron head, that's when he goes, bag it up. Bag it up. Bag it up. Just bag it up.
We're doing it.
Yep. And
Yeah,
then
isn't
T.I.
it?
is like, yep, back it up. We're out of here. Yep. Oh, gosh. But
man.
it also sets up, though, that there's so many different variants because we saw Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel and not Carol Danvers.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a different looking Carl Mordo than the Mortal in our universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we've also seen there's 3 different
Are
Spider-Man.
we sure he didn't just get recast because
Yeah.
everybody else was basically the exact same actor in person
No, he's
from
the same
universe
person.
to universe?
Explain.
So it was
explain
definitely the same person.
Explain Tobey
Right, it
Maguire
was-
and Andrew Garfield being Peter Parker.
I don't like your tone.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Or are you proving me wrong?
Wait, so then it can be different people.
Exactly. Because Monica Rambeau was a completely different person.
Yeah. That
And,
almost threw
and
me off for a
Peggy
second.
Carter becomes Captain America, not Steve Rogers. So that means there's a very different physical Steve Rogers in another universe.
I wonder how that's going to affect Black Panther.
So, oh, wow.
Oh, snap.
Because a different, no, they don't want to recast him.
No, they
no,
refuse
and
to
they
bring in-
won't. They
do
won't.
that.
They
They
won't.
need to, though.
Bring in a multiverse?
So I don't think they do that. I think Earth 616, which is established that we're the Earth 616.
No,
now.
55.
Yeah, we're Earth 55.
Okay, we're Earth 55.
We currently
on
live
Earth 55, they are going to not multiverse Chadwick Boseman out. There's going to be a heartfelt reason as to why T'Challa is no longer part of the universe, and then M'Baku's going to take it on. But that doesn't mean there's not a T'Challa in another universe.
It just might. We're just probably not going to see it T'Challa in another universe.
So, where to now?
Yeah,
right? Where to now? So in the end, my favorite scene is when they're talking about, how are we going to stop him? How are we going to stop him? A little bit of dream walking. Ryan's got a very perplexed look on his face. Let me finish my thought. Then we're going to get to Ryan.
Did he just have an epiphany? Ryan just had an epiphany.
So what do you act like that's the first time that's happened?
I'm excited to hear
Doctor Strange dream walks into a corpse, and then a zombie Doctor Strange then wears undead spirits as a cape to go fight the Scarlet Witch.
What? That was the coolest thing.
I could not have been more happy with that outcome.
It was the most heavy metal thing that we have 100%. Seen in the MCU yet. It was so incredibly cool.
I mean, great point. Yeah, it is. It's just skeletons, heavy metal. Like, he just shows up with these souls.
Yep. I mean, the souls are trying to bring him back to the other universe.
Yeah. My jaw dropped, though, when I saw that. Like, I had glimpses of it in the trailer. I had watched some of What If, so I was like, maybe there's something like this. But I never imagined that they would let Sam Raimi do that. Yeah. And it was just kind of nuts seeing it. And even the makeup reminded me of Army of Darkness makeup when Ash turns to evil Ash. Mm-hmm. So, what a gnarly, beautiful scene. Gosh.
It was such a...
Demons needed some work.
Yeah, no, they did. The demons did, but it was so forgivable.
When the demon, what about when the demon did the magical orb? I'm like, that's like a rhino with a knife. You're like, why you you don't need a knife,
right?
Like it was like channeling an orb, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, and her big demons. Like I really expected more out of her big demon guardians.
That's true.
But so now, I mean,
kind of punked out.
Here's what's crazy too. Now though, is that the Darkhold. At the end of the movie, she destroys it, and it destroys it in every universe. So it was a copy in every universe, and she destroyed that temple. That destroyed everything. So somebody is saying online that the demon that created that Darkhold and created that temple, that was what was imprisoning him, and he might be one of the next big bads. Forget his name.
Louise.
Yeah, right. They're going to be going dark. I mean, look at all these properties that they're bringing up. That's very plausible.
Does that mean that we're going to get
we got Blade?
Blade.
We're going to
Moon Knight.
We're going to get the demon.
Mephisto.
Maybe we'll get Mephisto.
So, what was your epiphany, Ryan?
Yeah.
Oh, that I may get to see one Eric Killmonger or Michael B. Jordan still play Black Panther.
He wants Killmonger to be him so bad.
Yeah, that's right. You're a big fan of Michael B. Jordan. So am I. And I think that would be cool because we've obviously seen it.
Yeah. So. I'm hyped now.
I mean,
it can happen.
What If maybe could do that? Or
What If did
think we would get that in a movie?
Didn't they do that already?
No, it was Killmonger
he teamed up
with Iron Man or whatever.
Oh, you know what happened? I think it was the same universe because in that same universe, T'Challa was picked up by the Guardians.
Yes.
And so there was no T'Challa to become the next Black Panther, so Killmonger showed up and did it himself.
Yeah. So
wow.
And what's next is we're gonna get Thor: Love and Thunder, and
that's right.
And hopefully we'll get all of the Thors that we've been waiting for.
So this is probably exciting for you. Another Taika movie, another Thor.
And finally, Natalie Portman gets something to do.
Yeah, finally.
Because in the second movie, she's just sitting there pining after Thor. And listen, dude, Chris Hemsworth, I get it, but you're like, come on, Portman, like you're a beast.
So I've seen some recent.
She's a very good actress.
I've seen some recent images of her as the Mighty Thor, and she looks pretty beefed. Like super buff. Are we thinking that that's like a little CGI, or do you think that she just worked her ass off and did like the Thor exercise for?
Yeah. I think she saw Ryan Reynolds' diet on Blade Trinity.
No, I think she followed Chris Hemsworth on Instagram like I do and watched him flipping semi-truck tires, tractor-trailer tires, and throwing ropes that are like the size of my whole body.
Wow.
That's how he works out.
Yeah. So we got Gore the God Butcher coming.
It's Marvel.
Yeah.
They did it.
Yeah.
Like is that Christian Bale?
Yeah.
That'll be fun. I can't wait for that screening.
You better.
I'll call you up and I'll
voice.
spoil the ending.
What's that?
He said he'll
I said I'll call you all up and spoil the ending.
There you go. I'm a spoiler guy. I will love that.
Say Jack loves that.
This
crap.
one will get in the car and come find you.
Yeah.
Oh, I won't do that then.
Yeah. I would love it. That would be great. But
and I don't care if he knows because he likes to see me reacting to things that he already knows happens.
I do.
So
wait,
I like
so
to
then
see.
Do you know when he's looking at you that something's about to happen?
No, she doesn't see it. She's always too locked in.
mind you, well, hold on, because I can actually answer this in truth, because he got to see No Way Home before me because I was on a work trip and he got invited to a midnight screening while I was out of town.
That's right.
And I told him he had to go because he was like, I feel bad. And I said, no, you have to go. I'm going to be mad if you don't go. And he ended up getting to see it, and we immediately saw it when I got home.
Right.
Literally,
The
I
moment
literally
she got
flew home like at 1, 2 o'clock on that Friday, and we went at like 5 or 6 that night. So I was like exhausted. But I had to see it immediately, and we went and saw it, and I like there were times that I could just feel his eyes burning into my soul because he was like staring at me because he knew something was going to happen and wanted to see my reaction.
Actually, my favorite thing to do now is to lie to people about every aspect of the movie.
He likes to say
they
something's
ask me
going to happen,
and I just lie, so they go into it confidently like, oh yeah, my boy told me this is what's going to happen, and then it doesn't happen, and then they get that genuine reaction either way.
But he definitely was staring at me, watching me. Oh God,
Pizza Poppa is Mephisto.
But
there's no way he lasted 3 weeks without it.
But he watched me sit there and cry when Andrew Garfield popped out of the weird hole.
Yeah.
But Pizza Poppa, that is
and
a
he got
decent
bread thrown
theory.
at him.
Right.
Yes. Why are you throwing bread at me?
It sounded just like him.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pizza Poppa. That's a good theory that he is something other than just the Pizza Poppa.
He's a watcher. He's one of the watchers.
You think so?
No.
Oh.
I'm just
That would be hilarious.
humoring the Avengers team
Captain
created.
America.
Yeah.
Captain
He's
America.
that universe's Captain America. Who settled down after the war and wanted to just make pizzas.
Maybe he's the demon big bad. He's the demon big bad that is in charge of that book.
Oh wow. The Darkhold?
The Darkhold.
That's now gone.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
He was in prison to make.
did you catch
pizzas
the
for
car
eternity.
cameo? Did you see the car cameo when they were going through the world that was kind of closing in on itself with the other world? And you see that old car spinning.
No.
That's Sam Raimi's car that has a cameo in every single Sam Raimi movie.
What?
No
So
way.
in the
That's
Spider-Man
dope.
movies and Evil Dead, like so when they go to the three-eyed Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
when they're walking
Sinister
through the
Strange,
and
yeah.
stuff spinning, there's this old I think
Oh, yeah.
72 Buick that's floating in the air. That's in every single Sam Raimi movie.
That's
Wow.
cool.
Uncle
I
Ben
love
drove
that.
it, Spider-Man. Yeah, so that was a neat Sam Raimi thing. And also too, when the zombie wakes up and his eyes open, that kind of cheesy shot. That's a classic Evil Dead shot. And then also when Rachel McAdams sees Sinister Strange dead and his third eye opens and she's like, ah! Like that's the classic jump scare right there. Now Elizabeth Olsen just getting beat and covered in blood and like totally.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely an Evil Dead thing.
So from the
and, like,
trailers
dragged
and
me to
stuff,
hell.
yep.
Yeah.
From the trailers and stuff, I was like, oh my God, are we getting Marvel zombies in Multiverse because of that? Because of her specifically? Because that's what she looks like. Because there's like the dim sort of red and different color lights that she's walking through this like wet tunnelish, and she's like dragging her leg behind her, and she's got blood screaming down her face. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so dope.
I mean, fans are going to find the theory for whatever they want in the movie. They're going to find it and they're going to go, yep, that's what I want, and then they're going to spin their own narrative from it.
We have some friends that do that.
Yeah.
Can I say that
She
I am also
reminded me
sad
of
that they
go for it.
they
Sorry.
don't find a way to put your boy in every single movie again.
Oh,
Freaking
yeah, Stan Lee.
Stanley. Why am I blanking on his name? Like they
Yeah.
can't CGI him into something.
No.
Come on, man.
Come on,
Stan
man.
Lee.
That's true.
Tony Stank.
Tony Stank, table for one near the bathroom. Oh man.
I do. I'm kind of sad that you brought that up because it's been several movies now that we haven't had him, and it was like that was something I always look forward to, and I have forgotten because it's been so long.
Yeah. Well, what a good episode. What a good episode. What a good bit of Multiverse of Madness. Huh? Mark, thank you so much for joining us. This was an
pleasure. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I love watching y'all blowing up. Just the work y'all put in. Just keep coming at it. Keep growing your audience. Like I love it. Like for someone who doesn't sleep a lot because I'm always working.
Right.
I love that there's other people out there just hustling. So I think you guys got big things coming up for you next 100 episodes. So I look forward to seeing y'all blowing up.
I appreciate that, and we hope that you're very much a big part of that.
That would be awesome.
So let's once again run through everything that you got going on so we can refer people to you as we do our little closing song here.
And I want it on that Con Air podcast for real.
Oh, we do want in on the Con Air podcast.
You got a spot. Yeah, you're done. You got a spot. You're all set.
Yeah.
Tell me your favorite moments. I think you did.
Now I have to go rewatch Con Air.
One of my favorite moments is Dave Chappelle when he's like, "Oh, sorry," and he sets the guy on fire.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Steve Buscemi's like, "You want to talk about irony? Guys dancing around in an airplane after they died in a plane crash."
Yep.
Like, two of my favorite moments.
I'll see if those two are still open. We'll hold those for y'all.
Wow.
Great.
Yeah, that's going to be great. So, tell them about what you got going on, Mark.
Let's see. I write for Rotten Tomatoes, so go to Rotten Tomatoes, Mark Hofmeyer.
Yes.
I also work on the Rotten Tomatoes is Wrong podcast. I work on the Versus videos for them. I work for Fandom, so I just analyzed every single Tom Cruise movie for a second time for them. So I got a video coming out when Top Gun comes out. I work for Film Theorist. I just dropped the Quiet Place video. Go see that. Then I have Movies, Films and Flix. And then I have Deep Blue Sea the podcast, Con Air the podcast. I think that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's all quality content, man. I haven't seen anything that you've sent me that I've been like, I don't really like that. If you're a fan of movies in general, and you're a fan of some of that wacky mathematics side of it, like how far Tom Cruise has run in any movie, stuff like that, this is the guy for you. Plus, he can give you the insides on how it's shot, how it's done, behind the scenes, and he likes to argue with me about my favorite Spider-Man. So what's not to love? Mark.
And that soap is still melting.
It's still melting through the core of the earth. So check him out. Movies, Films, and Flix, Rotten Tomatoes, Deep Blue Sea, Con Air podcast, and a few more of those alter egos in the future.
All right.
So next week, we're going to have tons and tons of news for you. We're going to catch up with this week, and I'm sure more stuff is going to come through then. We're going to get the breakdown of the Prey trailer. I can't not talk about that. So, all right, y'all. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for joining us.
I could do this all day.
Really? Could you? 5 minutes
day.
later.
24-hour podcast.
Hey, pay for that pizza ball.
Oh, sorry.
No doubt.